Hey everyone, it's Brighty. Let's make the cutest curved clutch purse, perfect for nights out or adding sparkle to your day. This DIY is easy and you can customize it with your favorite crystals to make it uniquely yours. Alright, let's start by making sure we have all our materials ready. We'll need around 30 strands of 8mm crystal beads. Don't forget to grab a lovely rose gold kiss lock frame, which should be about 16.5 centimeters in length. Lastly, we'll need about 80 meters of 0.5mm fishing line to tie everything together securely. And don't forget to have a long metal chain handy, as we'll need that later. I've put links to the whole kit in the description, so it will be super easy for you to find what you need. Let's get started. Cut a piece of fishing line that is about 2 meters long. Take both ends of the fishing line and insert one end into the first hole and the other end into the third hole from the inner part of the frame, leaving the second hole empty. Then pull the fishing line out to the outer part of the frame, making sure the ends of the line are the same length so you don't waste any. Take all 3 beads and thread them onto the line through the first hole. Later, we'll pass the line with the 3 beads back through the last bead you added to get a thread loop. Then, take the other end of the line and pass it through this loop you've made. Then, take the other end of the line and pass it through this loop you just made. After that, guide the line back through the third hole it came out of. At this stage, you should have a loose knot. Now, pull both ends of the line tight to secure that looped knot into this bead. Give it a good tug to make sure it's tight and neat, and just like that, you've made your first triple bead loop. Later, we will begin the following bead loops by adding 2 beads each time. First, skip the 4th hole and insert the thread from the inner part into the 5th hole. Next, add 2 beads onto the upper thread and then pass the thread back through the most recently added bead. To create a thread loop, pass the other thread from the frame through this thread loop. Finally, reinsert the end of the lower thread back through the 5th hole it came out of. To complete the process, create a second tied bead loop by pulling the thread knot into the center of the bead. Continue this process to create the following bead loops until the last one. Always remember to pull the thread knot into the center of the bead to ensure each bead is securely in place. Actually, this tutorial shares much similarity with the Handbag Kit 7 tutorial we shared a month ago. The method is almost the same, the only difference is the size of the bag. Now we are near at the end of the first row. To finish the last bead loop by adding 2 beads to this line instead of the left upper one. Please note that you should leave the last hole in the frame alone and start the second row by adding 3 beads to the right thread. For the following bead loops, pass the lower thread through the lower left bead and add 2 beads to the upper line. When we reach the end of the second row, add 2 beads to the left thread instead of the right upper line to complete the last bead loop. Then, start the third row by adding 3 beads to the left thread again. Later, continue beading in this way until we finish 11 rows of bead loops. We now have 3 bead loops remaining to complete this panel. To achieve a neater finish and cancel the ends of the fishing line at the end, we will thread the 2 lines through the most recently added beads, without creating any knots when we craft the last 3 bead loops. That ensures all the beads which form the last 3 bead loops are accessible. Finally, we will hide the lions by threading them around these accessible beads. The metal frame we're now using has an extra hole left after beading. Therefore, when starting the other side, we need to begin from the end closest to this hole. Then repeat the previous steps to complete the work on this side. We now have 2 panels, each with 11 rows of bead loops. The next step is to attach them together. Start by inserting a new fishing line through the 3rd bead. Then add 2 beads to one line and 1 bead to the other to create the first firmly placed bead loop by creating a thread knot and pulling it into the center of the bead. Next, add 1 bead to the left line and pass it through the 3rd bead on the opposite panel. Finally, create the 2nd bead loop by adding 1 more bead. Begin the first bead loop of the 2nd row by threading the left line through the upper bead. Next, add 2 more beads onto this line to finish this bead loop. Then, insert the lower line through the lower right bead and the 3rd bead of the opposite panel. After that, add 1 bead to this line to complete the 2nd bead loop. Repeat this process to finish the remaining beading. After completing the beading work on the sides, we are now on the final step, the base. We start from the short side. Using this centimeter as a reference, the position for bead loops to the left and for bead loops to the right will mark the two corners of the base. Take the thread and pass it through the 4th and 5th beads on the right side of the centimeter. Add 2 beads to create the first 4 bead loop at the base. Then, pass the left thread through the left lower bead and add 2 beads to the other thread to complete the subsequent 6 bead loops. After completing a total of 7 bead loops, pass the left fishing line through 2 beads at once. Then, add 1 bead to the right fishing line to create our second corner. Then continue along this long side to complete 13 more bead loops. And create our third corner by threading through 2 beads in the same manner. Therefore, this long side consists of a total of 15 bead loops. Using the same method, complete the second short side and the second long side. Then work inward row by row until only the last bead loop remains. For the final bead loop, to make sealing easier, directly cross both thread ends through the last bead. Then hide the thread ends by weaving them around the bead loop repeatedly. Finally, the beading work for this bag is complete. With the inner bag added, this is how the bag looks. Pretty, right? If you're interested in making this bag, you can click the link in the description to purchase the complete kit. If you have any questions about the steps in the video, feel free to leave a comment. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.